Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am your host, Josh Davis, also known as Crash. Today is Wednesday, January 25th, 2023, and I'm here to go over the 10-game slate in the NBA tonight. If you're new to the channel, if you would hit the like button and then hit subscribe. After you've done those two things, if you will hit the alarm bell, that will let you know when the newest podcast has gone live. So appreciate you joining us today. Hope you enjoy the show. If you're new to DFS Coach Talk, you can go to dfscoachtalk.com. We have memberships that start as low as $9 for a week. So definitely want to take advantage of that. We're a very family friendly, very positive and encouraging environment. So we'd love to have you join us at dfscoachtalk.com. With that being said, like I mentioned, we have a 10-game slate to get into. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We've got at the first game of the night, 7 p.m. Eastern, the Indiana Pacers at the Orlando Magic. Orlando is favored by 6. They have a 231.5 over-under in this game. For the Pacers, Andrew Nembhard is questionable. Same thing with Daniel Theis. And then Tyrese Halliburton is out still. And then Chuma Okeke is out for Orlando. So projected starting lineups we've got for the Pacers: TJ McConnell, Andrew Nembhard, Buddy Hield, Aaron Naismith, Miles Turner. For the Magic, Markelle Fultz, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and Wendell Carter Jr. My favorite plays in this game on the Indiana side, you've got, TJ McConnell with Halliburton being out. He's been pretty popular. He's been back in the starting lineup lately, so I would expect him to start once again tonight. He's 6,000 on DraftKings, 6,700 on FanDuel, $25 on Yahoo. And then you have Benedict Mathurin. He's 5,400 on DraftKings, 5,500 on FanDuel, $18 on Yahoo. The Magic have allowed the 8th most fantasy points to small forwards this year, so I like him. I also like Chris Duarte. He's a value play. He's 3,400 on DraftKings, 3,900 on FanDuel, and $10 on Yahoo. On the Orlando side, the only play that I'm really looking at is Wendell Carter Jr. He's 6,400 on DraftKings, 6,700 on FanDuel, $20 on Yahoo. He's averaged 44 DraftKings points the last 3 times that he's faced the Pacers, and they have allowed the 4th most fantasy points to centers this year. So on a 10-game slate, I'm probably going to narrow my plays here a little bit. So not going to go to all the normal Magic plays that I might with like Wagner and Banchero, but I do like Wendell Carter Jr. still, and I do think he's a good play on this slate. Next game, we have the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers. There's a lot of revenge narratives here in this matchup, of course, with these teams trading with each other for players over the last couple of years. 7:30 p.m. Eastern is the tip-off. Over-under here is 228. Philadelphia is favored by 5. Of course, Kevin Durant is still out for the Nets, and then looks like Joel Embiid is probably not going to play. He's questionable, so we'll have to see what happens here, but I'm thinking he's not going to play. And I'll get into what that means here in a second. For the Nets, Kyrie Irving has just been absolutely on a tear the last 3 games. He's averaged 69.3 DraftKings points, 50.3 average DraftKings points for the month of January. He's 10-1 on DraftKings, 10,000 on FanDuel, $41 on Yahoo. I like him quite a bit, especially if he draws James Harden defensively. And then Ben Simmons, 6,500 on DraftKings, 7,000 on FanDuel, $25 on Yahoo. He did have, in their matchup earlier this year on November 22nd, he had 48.3 DraftKings points. So like Ben Simmons a little bit going back to Philadelphia. As I mentioned, there's quite a few revenge narratives in this game. If Embiid plays, he is in play. He's expensive. He's 11-4 on DraftKings, 11-5 on FanDuel, $53 on Yahoo. But he's one of about 5 players that probably has a higher ceiling than most on this slate for top pay-up options. Then you have James Harden, I like at 9,900 on DraftKings, 10,500 on FanDuel, $40 on Yahoo against his former team. If Embiid's out, then Tyrese Maxey is definitely in play. He's averaged 32.8 DraftKings points for the year, but that number goes all the way up to 43.03 in games without Embiid. So Without Embiid, Maxey definitely is scoring a lot more. He's 6,500 on DraftKings, 6,300 on FanDuel, and $25 on Yahoo. And then also, if Embiid's out, Montrezl Harrell is in play. 4,600 on DraftKings, 4,800 on FanDuel, and $10 on Yahoo. Next game, we have Minnesota Timberwolves at the New Orleans Pelicans, 8 p.m. Eastern start time. Over under here of 231.5. The Pelicans are favored by 3. For the Timberwolves, Rudy Gobert is questionable. Jordan McLaughlin, Taurean Prince, and Karl Anthony Towns are out. For the Pelicans, it looks like they may have Brandon Ingram back tonight. He's listed as probable, so I would expect him to be back in the lineup. And also, Najee Marshall is also listed as probable. So they'll be getting back a couple of their key guys, and Marshall and, of course, Ingram, the big one. Still without Zion Williamson, and then Dyson Daniels is also going to be out tonight. He's been starting lately, so we won't have the value there with him. But you do have Najee Marshall, so that'll help a little bit for value. For Minnesota, projected starting lineup of D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Kyle Anderson, and then, as I mentioned, Rudy Gobert. He's questionable. We'll have to see if he's in the lineup or not. For the Pelicans, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, as I mentioned, is supposed to be back in the lineup tonight. Herbert Jones, Najee Marshall, also supposed to be back, and Jonas Valanciunas. When I first made my notes on this game, I didn't know that Brandon Ingram was supposed to play. They hadn't upgraded him to probable at that point, so he wasn't on the list of plays here, but I think that he is still an option too. If Gobert's out, though, Naz Reid is a top play. He's 4,700 on DraftKings, 5,300 on FanDuel, $10 on Yahoo. And then for the Pelicans, I like Najee Marshall, and as I mentioned, Brandon Ingram. With him being back now, I think he's a good play. Yeah, Davion, let's have a great night. I'm with you. Next game, Washington Wizards and the Houston Rockets. This game is also starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. It has no line right now because of the injury news. So we're waiting on, Jabari Smith's questionable. Same thing with Monty Morris. And then Porzingis and Porter are out for Washington and Houston, respectively. Washington is currently favored by 2. The projected starting lineup for the Wizards right now, you've got Monty Morris, Bradley Beal, Corey Kispert, Kyle Kuzma, and Daniel Gafford. For the Rockets, Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Kenyon Martin Jr., Jabari Smith, if he plays, and then Alperen Sengun. In this game, I like, of course, with Porzingis out, Kyle Kuzma. The Rockets have allowed the second most fantasy points to small forwards, so he's definitely in play. 8,800 on DraftKings, 8,500 on FanDuel, $33 on Yahoo. I also like Bradley Beal. He's averaged 53.9 DraftKings points the last 5 times that he faced Houston. He's 7,200 on DraftKings, so that's a pretty good price over there. 8,200 on FanDuel. I don't like that quite as much. And then $29 on Yahoo. So DraftKings and Yahoo would definitely be where I would look at Bradley Beal the most. And then you have, as we all know, Houston's been terrible. They've allowed the most fantasy points to point guards this year. And so Monty Morris, if he plays, 5,100 on DraftKings, 5,600 on FanDuel, $18 on Yahoo. He's definitely in play. For the Rockets, Sengun, 8,700 on DraftKings, 8,400 on FanDuel, $35 on Yahoo. He is pretty expensive, but they don't have a whole lot to really contain him, especially with Porzingis out, and I think it'd just be Daniel Gafford down there in the paint. So I think Sengun's in a pretty good spot. Jalen Green, 7,500 on DraftKings, 8,000 on FanDuel, $27 on Yahoo. I like him. And if Jabari Smith is out, Tari Eason should be starting. He's 4,400 on DraftKings, 4,700 on FanDuel, $14 on Yahoo. If Smith is out, Eason's going to be one of my top value plays. Next game, we have also at 8 p.m. Eastern, the Denver Nuggets at the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee is favored by 10 currently. I'm sure that number is going to change. There's no over-under because of all the injury news. but it looks like Jokic could be out, which of course is going to affect that line quite a bit. Same thing with Murray and Porter Jr. So the Nuggets could be extremely shorthanded here. And so it's really going to depend on who plays, how that line moves before game time. But if they all play, this should be a really good game. So I'm hoping they do. So you've got Gillespie, Caldwell Pope, Highland, Jokic, Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. are all questionable for the Nuggets. And then for the Bucks, the only injuries they have, of course, Bobby Portis just recently got hurt, so he's going to be out for a couple weeks, so he's not going to be playing. And then Marjan Beauchamp is probable, and then Serge Ibaka, he's not really even with the team anymore because they're trying to trade him. So that doesn't matter. The projected starting lineup, you have Jamal Murray, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. And, of course, they could be without 4 of those starters, so we'll have to see what happens there with the news. Definitely keep an eye on Discord. We'll be updating that all the way up until tip. For the Bucks, their normal starting lineup, Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Brook Lopez. Now, this is all going to depend on who plays. If Jokic plays, he's 11-6 on both FanDuel and DraftKings. He's 58 on Yahoo, but he's averaged 66.8 DraftKings points the last 3 times that he's faced Milwaukee. So he's had some really good success against them. With Portis out, Lopez is going to have to play more minutes, which I think that's going to make Lopez a little bit more tired quicker. And, not used to playing those extra minutes. So I think Jokic could have a really big game if he plays. He would be probably a top 2 or 3 play on the slate for me if he plays. So we'll see what happens there. Another play that I wasn't really on, but he's had a lot of success against the Bucks is Aaron Gordon. He's 6,900 on DraftKings, 7,300 on FanDuel, $26 on Yahoo. He's averaged 40.6 DraftKings points the last 3 times that he's faced Milwaukee. So I like him. Also like Bruce Brown. These, hybrid 2-3 guards are the ones that give the Bucks a lot of problems. He had 42.3 DraftKings points the last time he faced them on March 31st. He's 5,200 on DraftKings, 5,900 on FanDuel, $18 on Yahoo. I like him a lot, especially if, Porter Jr. and Murray are out. I think Bruce Brown would be a really good play. And then if Murray's out, also look at Bones Highland. For the Bucks, Giannis has not done very well at all against Denver. He's only averaged 48.7 DraftKings points the last 4 times that he faced the Nuggets. So that's pretty interesting, but I'm going to keep with that trend. I'm probably not going to play him anyway because if all these guys are out for Denver, this game, could become a blowout and Giannis wouldn't get enough minutes. Drew Holiday's borderline for me. The Denver has allowed the 7th most fantasy points to point guards this year. He's 8,900 on DraftKings, 8,400 on FanDuel, $36 on Yahoo. He's been playing really well. Still played really well on Monday, even with Chris Middleton and Giannis back in the lineup. He still played really well, but he just didn't get enough minutes because of the blowout. So if he gets the minutes, Drew Holiday is in play here. Not going to go to Lopez because, like I said, I think he's just going to get worn out trying to guard Jokic. So if Jokic plays. If Jokic sits, then you could definitely look at, Lopez too because he's going to get the extra minutes with Portis out. Also for the Nuggets, Zeke Naji would be in play if Jokic sits. So let me take a look at the chat. All right. Next game, Atlanta Hawks and the Oklahoma City Thunder, 8 p.m. Eastern tip-off, over-under of 237. Atlanta favored by 1.5. This should be a pretty highly contested game. Atlanta's 24-24 and the Thunder are 23-24. So basically almost identical records. For the Hawks, you have DeAndre Hunter is questionable. Same thing for Okongwu. Let me see if there's any update on that. Okay, Hunter's still questionable. And then Okongwu is also questionable. Okay. And then Pokusevski and Jeremiah Robinson-Earl are out for the Thunder. The projected starting lineup for Atlanta, Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter if he plays, John Collins, Clint Capella. For the Thunder, SGA, Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, with an E, not J-A-Y, but J-A-L-E-N Williams, and then Mike Muscala projected to start at center. I only like a couple plays in this game. I like the two main point guards, Trae Young and SGA. Just not a whole lot that I'm feeling about this game. I think it'll be a pretty highly contested game, stay close throughout, but just DFS-wise on a 10-game slate, not a lot for me. So just Trae Young and SGA, or otherwise move on to the next game. And the next game is at 10 p.m. Eastern, so it's going to be 2 hours later. The Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors. Golden State's favored by 3.5. It has a 239.5 over-under, which is the third highest over-under on the slate. Steven Adams is out for Memphis, and then same thing with Conchar, and then Danny Green, of course, is still out. James Wiseman is probable for Golden State, so it looks like they're going to be full strength, basically, other than Iguodala. Projected starting lineup here, we've got Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson, and Xavier Tillman for the Grizzlies. And then for Golden State, Curry, Poole, Thompson, Wiggins, and Green. So they've gone to that smaller lineup now with Curry, Poole, and Thompson at the guards, and then Green at center. So it's an interesting lineup. Taking Kevon Looney out of there. But I do like a couple plays on the Golden State side. And then Ja Morant, he's 9,700 on DraftKings, 9,900 on FanDuel, $43 on Yahoo. Golden State's allowed the fifth most fantasy points to point guards this year. And they last played each other on Christmas Day. Morant had 56.8 DraftKings points that day. So I do like Ja Morant. On the Warriors side, Steph Curry's had really good success against the Grizzlies of late. The last 5 games, averaging 63.6 DraftKings points, 10.5 on DraftKings, 9,800 on FanDuel, $40 on Yahoo. Also like Klay Thompson, 6,800 on DraftKings, 7,200 on FanDuel, $27 on Yahoo. Memphis has allowed the fifth most fantasy points to shooting guards. He had 42.8 DraftKings points on Christmas Day against Memphis. And then Jordan Poole is also in play. 7,700 on DraftKings, 7,800 on FanDuel, $30 on Yahoo. Averaging 39.7 the last 5 games. A lot of those were with him back in the starting lineup, in this new lineup that Kerr made. So I like him as well. Next game is the Utah Jazz and the Portland Trailblazers. This also starts at 10 p.m. Eastern. Has a 237.5 over-under. Portland's favored by 3.5. For Utah, the only injury they have is Kelly Olynyk. And then for Portland, you've got Justice Winslow and Ibu Baji are out. For the Jazz, Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, Malik Beasley, Lauri Markkanen, and Walker Kessler is their starting lineup. And then for Portland, Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, Jeremy Grant, and Yusuf Nurkic. Not really anybody that I like on Utah, honestly. We'll see if there's any kind of news or anything that changes that. But right now, I'm not really feeling any of the Jazz players. And the only play I'm really liking on Portland is Damian Lillard. He's averaged 57.2 DraftKings points in his last 5 games. He's 10-3 on DraftKings, 10-1 on FanDuel, $42 on Yahoo. Second to last game, Toronto Raptors and the Sacramento Kings. It starts at 10 p.m. Eastern, 239 over-under. Sacramento's favored by 3. This is the second highest over-under on the slate. Looks like OG Anunoby is probable he's listed as questionable. Okay, so he's questionable for Toronto. And then I don't think Delano Banton is going to play. And then Chimezie Metu, I don't think he's going to play for Sacramento. The projected starting lineup for Toronto, you've got Van Vliet, Trent, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, and Pascal Siakam. And then for Sacramento, De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis. I like Fred Van Vliet. He's just been playing really well. He had 66.5 DraftKings points the last time he faced Toronto, which was on December 4th. Last time he faced Sacramento, I should say, on December 14th. And he's averaged 53.7 DraftKings points the last 4 games. So He's been playing really well. He's 8,100 on DraftKings, 9,000 on FanDuel, $31 on Yahoo. Really the only play on Toronto that I'm liking on this bigger slate. And then for the Kings, you got Sabonis and Fox. Sabonis 10-4 on DraftKings, 10-1 on FanDuel, $42 on Yahoo. He had 59.5 DraftKings points against Toronto on December 14th. And then Fox, 8,400 on DraftKings, 8,300 on FanDuel, $35 on Yahoo. He had 53.5 DraftKings points in that game against Toronto on December 14th. Last game of the night, we've got the Spurs at the Lakers. It's a 10:30 p.m. Eastern start time. There's some pretty big injury news here. If Anthony Davis comes back, which he's expected to, we'll see if LeBron plays or not. He's questionable. And then looks like Lonnie Walker could possibly play. He's questionable as well. And then for the Spurs, Romeo Langford and Devin Vassell are out. The projected starting lineup for the Spurs is Trey Jones, Malachi Branham, and then Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, and Jakob Poeltl. For the Lakers, Schroeder, Beverly, Brown, and then we'll see if James and Davis both play, but they're currently projected to start. Has a highest over-under on this game, 243. The Lakers are favored by 6.5. I like Keldon Johnson here. He's 7,200 on DraftKings, 7,100 on FanDuel, $28 on Yahoo. He had 52 DraftKings points last time he faced the Lakers, which was on November 26th. LA has allowed the 7th most fantasy points to small forwards. If you watched the game last night, Paul George was absolutely eating them alive. So I definitely like Keldon Johnson. Not that he's as good as Paul George, but he's in that similar build, and I think he can have a nice night. LeBron, like I said, he's questionable. He's 11-7 on DraftKings, 11-1 on FanDuel, $50 on Yahoo. I'm hoping that LeBron will sit, and then Anthony Davis, will get all that usage, because I do like Anthony Davis. 10-8 on DraftKings, 10-7 on FanDuel, $48 on Yahoo. As long as he doesn't have any kind of major minutes limit, I definitely think 80's in play. Schroeder's been playing really well lately, 5,600 on DraftKings, 6,700 on FanDuel, $20 on Yahoo. The Spurs have allowed the 4th most fantasy points to point guards this year, so I like Schroeder as well. And then you can throw Westbrook in the mix too. Don't have his price right in front of me, but he's also in play. Let me go ahead and tell you guys kind of what the ownership looks like right now. We've got over on DraftKings, the highest projected owned player currently is wait, no, that's not updated. Let's see. We've got TJ McConnell at 6,000 is the highest projected owned player. Then you've got Denny Avdia at 4,000. He's 48.5%. TJ McConnell is 60.9%. So it goes from that all the way down to Xavier Tillman at 3,200 to 26%. Then you have Zach Collins at 3,600. He is 24.2. Ja Morant, 19.7. Paolo Banchero, 19. Kyle Kuzma, 17.7. Corey Kispert, 17.2. Trae Young, 14.2. Bradley Beal, 14. Josh Richardson, 13.9. Clint Capella, 12.9. Jakob Poeltl, 12.1. Buddy Hield, 11.9. And Benedict Mathurin is also 11.9. Desmond Baines, 11.3. And Rudy Gobert at 10.7. Over on FanDuel, once again, TJ McConnell, 68.9%. Denny Avdia at 39.3. Mathurin at 25.5. Şengün, 25. Xavier Tillman, 25. Jeremy Sohan, 24.5. D'Angelo Russell, 22.8. John Collins, 22.4. Kenyon Martin Jr., 21.9. Jeremy Grant, 21.1. Kyle Kuzma, 20.8. Anthony Simons, 20.2. Mike Conley, 19.7. Kyle Anderson, 19.3. Trey Jones, 17.9. And Ja Morant, 17.4. On Yahoo, Denny Avdia is number 1 at 60.6%. Then you have TJ McConnell at 43.8, Kyle Kuzma 32.8, Daniel Gafford 24, Wendell Carter Jr. 23.6, Rudy Gobert 22.4, Kenny Martin Jr. 19.2, Fred VanVleet 18.8, Jeremy Sohan 18, John Collins 17.6, Kyrie Irving 17.4, Desmond Bain 16.4, Steph Curry 16, John Morant 15.6, and tied with him is Paulo Banchero 15.6, Anthony Simons 15.2, and Trae Young 15%. All right, before we get out of here, does anybody have any questions? I wasn't able to get the latest on PrizePicks for tonight. I will have those plays in our Discord. The main reason for that is because of the injury news. There's a lot of plays that aren't on the board, so I don't want to force anything. I want to get you guys what I feel is the best possible plays. So we'll definitely have that for our members in Discord. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions, so hopefully everybody enjoyed the breakdown real quick of all these 10 games tonight. Hope we have an awesome night. Once again, had a nice night last night, thanks to Deb and the team that led that. So hope everybody has a great night, and we'll be back again tomorrow when we look to crush it in NBA, DFS, and PrizePicks. Thank you.